we are going to talk about how to put your logo onto your spec sheet. So whether that is on a sweatshirt, a hoodie, or on an actual image of something, or a bottle, like a shampoo bottle, whatever your product is, a shoe, I'm going to show you how to put your logo onto it on a spec sheet. And then I'm also going to show you how to apply that same technique to put your marketing item onto a billboard or a bus stop or something like this. So this is all done using Illustrator. We can also use other programs like a mock-up program. You can find free mock-up files on any website, like just Google free mockups, and you can find PSD files, which will be Photoshop files. And sometimes you can find Illustrator files, but it's essentially doing the same exact thing. So I'm going to move quickly here, but you can pause at any time to use this. So if I am starting here with this mock-up sheet, specifically for this class, what I've done is in the Google Classroom, you have access to this file. It's in the Google Classroom here. And if you look at your layers will have right now one big layer inside. But if you open it up, you've got all these little individual parts. So you can click on your background here, which is this gray box behind everything. I would either lock that or just delete that to get that out of there, first off. Second thing is you have this hoodie in the middle, which is a little problematic because you keep accidentally grabbing it when you try to grab the other stuff. So I would also lock that one just so you don't grab it. And then you can go ahead and grab your hoodie of your choice. They're all exactly the same. They just have different colors inside of them. So I'm going to pick this one because I like that it has the shadows on it. So I'm going to just grab it here, Command C to copy. And then I'm going to come back over here to my spec sheet and I'll just get rid of this one. And Command V to paste. And then I'm just going to size it down, holding Shift on the corner so that it fits correctly here. Okay, this middle hoodie that I pulled in is also in this file called blank hoodie sweatshirt vector. This is also linked in the Google Classroom. And again, there's this weird background you can delete, but then you can just grab a file, Command C to copy, come over here and just Command V and paste it right in here. All right, and then this third option, I found a photograph online. I just Googled blank hoodie and pulled it in, and that's what I use for that one. You can also use your own photos. You can do a photo shoot. That would be great as well. Whatever you do across here, though, keep it consistent. I'm just showing you 3 separate versions, but I want you to pick one and go with that style. So if you're going to use an image from online, make sure all 3 of these are online images. Oh, that's kind of fun. All right, so it's consistent. So your vibe of your brand is consistent. So first thing you want to do is I've got my logo over here and I'm just going to make some copies of it. So I have some extras for myself. You're going to pull one up here at the top. You're going to change this product name. So I'm going into my layers here and I need to go into my template layer for a second. So I'm going to unlock it. And I'm going to retype here what my product name. So this weird logo I have here is Word Tree Snail. So let's just say that's my brand name. Okay, so I'm going to type that up there, move my logo over. And I'm also actually going to change that text because I want it to be more on brand for me. So I'm going to go with an impact style there. You can even change the color of that if you want to, so that it works for your brand, whatever. So there you go. And I'm now going to start working on my designs. So this first one, it allows you to go in here. I'm checking my layers, make sure your layers are clean and labeled. So this first one, if I, I have to relock that template or else it's going to keep moving it around. Grab that. And here it is in logo 2. So I'm going to say plus, so I give myself a new logo and I'm going to say first spec sheet box. Actually, just first box is fine. And I'm going to pull everything I have selected. So I'm going to pull this square up into the first box. So now everything's in there. And I'm just going to quickly go through and do that for all three. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to create a new layer and say second box, pull this square in. And third, I'm going to click on that, say new layer, and say third box. Pull that square in. So each layer has its own thing there. Okay. Starting on number one. One thing I might want to do if I want to make this, I want to think about my color palette that I'm going to be using, and I can put my color palette down here. So this is totally editable and selectable. So I'm going to start with the color of the actual sweatshirt here. So I'm clicking on the sweatshirt, and all I have to do is, you can see here in my first box, here's all my elements, and this is the box that's selected here. It's called Path. I'm just going to rename it. And I'm just going to make it a color. Double click on my color box here, and let's make this neon green. Or actually, let's make it yellow. If this happens to you and it forces you to be in grayscale when you're designing, all you have to do is, I'm just going to grab everything here. I'm going to go to my color window. Color. And I'm just going to go into this drop down here in the corner, and I'm going to change the color. So click that, grab this color, and say CMYK. So now it allows me to put color in there. For some reason, I can't do them all at once, so I'm going to have to click through, make sure everything is CMYK now. That looks pretty good. I think I'm double checking by looking at this and making sure everything is in color mode now. There we go. Okay, so it's yellow background. I can also click these two shadow areas, and I can make them a different color there if I want. And now as I'm building this, I also want to build my swatches, so my color palette. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up my swatches, go to Window, Swatches. Where'd you go? Oh, it's behind here. Hiding. There you are. Snap that there. And I've got my color palette here. So I'll show you how to build that. I'll delete this one so I can do a new one. All right, give yourself a new folder, and whatever color you have selected will go in there right away. I'm going to select this yellow, and I can just drag that in. And now I'm going to select this blue, and I'm going to make it a color here. Let's make that a darker greeny color there. Pull that into my swatches. This light blue, I want to change that. That in. And all my stitching, I don't want that to be blue, so I want that to be green as well. So I'm going to make that green and pull that in there as well. There. So now my entire piece has its own swatches here. So now what I can do is I can pull squares, my rectangle tool, down here, and I can fill each one of those with one of those colors that's in the swatch. And just use my black tool. There is my green. Here is my yellow. Here's my light green. And my other green. So now I have my color palette, my swatches, and I have my piece done. The last thing I need to do here is my logo. So I'm going to click on that, get rid of it, and pull one of my logos right on here. And I can resize it, holding Shift on the corner. Now the only thing is these little strings are not on top. So all I have to do now is I can look in my little layer here for my first box. And here it is. It's selected that compound path. I'm going to pull that on top of everything. And I need to pull this logo into this layer. There you go. Now the strings are on top of my logo, and I can move on. So next one is pretty much the same thing. I have editable pieces that I can click on and fill them with colors. So same concept there and same concept down here. And that one's really easy to deal with. This last one here, I'm gonna go ahead and zoom out a little. I'm gonna grab my logo and bring it over here. So if I want this logo to feel like it's actually on this hoodie and it has some wrinkles on it and things, all I have to do is a couple things in Illustrator. I can also do this in Photoshop, but I'm going to do it in Illustrator here. Here it is, and I'm going to go Window, and I'm going to open up Transparency. Okay. Again, I also want to pull this logo into my third box, so everything is in the right box. There we go. And I'm going to put a transparency layer on this called Multiply, which allows it to feel like it's behind those strings a little bit. You can kind of see those details through, and it also pulls it to feel a little bit more like the texture is coming through. It's a little transparent. And what I can also do is I can warp this. So click on that image there. You go to Object, Envelope, Distort, and then you want to go to Make with Mesh. Now I can't do it because I need to rasterize this. So if this happens to you and they're grayed out, you're just going to say Object, Rasterize, and make sure that you keep the transparent background here. Say OK. And now Object, Envelope, Distort, Make with Warp. Oops. Object, Envelope, Distort, Make with Mesh. And I'm going to give this 4 rows and 4 columns. You can do whatever you feel works best. Use your white arrow, and then you can come in and you can kind of move it around a little bit so that it feels, oops, I'm going to lock that guy. There we go. So that it feels like it's kind of warping with the shirt. So you can see there, it makes it look like it's kind of bending in there, and you can pull, and all kinds of things you can adjust. So it can warp to fit better on the piece. And there you go. And again, I'm going to put this transparency window on the whole thing so that it feels like it's actually on there. And there you can see the wrinkles, and it feels like it's bending with the shirt. All right, I'm going to make a second video for this part down here so that both of these videos are not too long.